All right. What is up, y'all? Will here with Schedulefly. And this is the Restaurant Owners Uncorked podcast brought to you by us here at Schedulefly. Super simple, web-based restaurant employee scheduling software backed by legendary customer service. And when I say legendary, I mean things like my personal cell phone is on schedulefly.com on like 3 pages. And if you call me or text me, you'll get me on this flip phone. If you're not, if you're watching, you see, if you're listening, I have a flip phone and it does a great job getting calls and receiving texts, but I'm happy to talk to you about Schedulefly anytime. And then we have a low price point. We haven't raised our prices in 18 years in business, yet. And we have a 30-day free trial. So there are half of restaurants are still on pencil and paper, Excel, Google Sheets for their schedules. We can make life a lot easier for you, get people off of dealing with call outs and shift trades and time off requests and scheduling mess and communication issues and get you all focused on spending time with teammates and guests. Or if you're on another scheduling software, you might be very happy. You also might be paying a lot of money for bells and whistles and features that you're not using. So we're actually seeing a lot of folks move over that we're saving them just a lot of money. And in today's economy and with what's going on right now, it's always helpful. So schedulefly.com, 30-day free trial. My cell's on there. Call me anytime. All right. That is enough about Schedulefly. Let's talk about Restaurant Owners Uncorked, episode number 6 something. And I'm actually talking to Taylor Dorman today for the first time ever. We were introduced by a mutual friend, Neil Chand at Food Service IQ, and I'm sure we'll talk a little bit about that. But Taylor, thank you, and just take a chance to, or take an opportunity, please, to introduce yourself.
Yeah, well, just want to start by saying I'm blessed to be here. Excited for the conversation. So, as you mentioned, my name's Taylor. Part of Jack Stack Barbecue, and I'm part of the family. So we've been around for a long time, for 68 years in the Kansas City area. My great grandfather started it in 1957 in Kansas City, and he was doing grocery stores and liquor stores and any kind of store he could open at the time, and kind of fell upon smoking meat back in 1957. And what that has evolved to today is 6 beautiful restaurants in Kansas City. We ship barbecue nationwide. We have a catering facility and 2 brands under that. And we also do barbecue production as well. So for the retail line. So something that you would see in a grocery store or potentially a Costco, we produce and in cryovac and get that fresh product out there. So currently our restaurants are just based out of Kansas City. We have about 850 employees, and yeah, we're really, really blessed to just be in this market and have the opportunity to impact guests every single day. And for me, like in my introduction, so, I'm part of, as mentioned, the 4th generation. So I was the generation that, we'll just say the first generation that was, blessed enough to go to college, to be able to make a decision. Our family council that we kind of put together, we made a rule, and the rule was you knew the business was always there, but you had to go once you got done with school. God willing, you were able to do that. You got to go outside the business for 2 years, and you got to explore other industry, something else. You have to be able to get, promoted or work yourself up in that, in order to come back to the business. And then, entering the business, you had to take an existing role. So you can carve out a, Taylor Dorman specialty role or whatnot. So, when I came, I was 6 years outside the business. I've been in the business now for 8 years, and I really just started in the kitchen. So started as a assistant kitchen manager, went through our MIT program, which was 20 weeks at the time, and was really in operations for 5 of those years, heavy operations, and then was blessed to be the director of operations, looking over our 6 restaurants, and now technically my role is exec VP of operations. Really, what that means is I really just help make sure our restaurants are performing at the highest level. I do, purchasing, marketing, still all operation kind of team stuff, and yeah, I'm really we're in a really good spot and blessed to be here. And you really have to learn the ins and outs of all of the restaurant, what everyone does, right, in order to kind of make an impact. And I'm blessed to be able to do that today.
I love multi-generational family businesses, man, that have a history like that. Congratulations to you and to your family. What a what a what a unique opportunity and unique story. And so I am so grateful to have this opportunity, man.
Yeah.
What so you grew up around the business. And you went to college, you spent 6 years outside the business. What were you doing?
I got into the kind of the investment world. So
Okay.
there's a local company here called American Century Investments that I got into, and then I kind of got into the sales side of that. So I would, you know, I would help represent different kind of asset managers, and I would, my little briefcase and 25-year-old Taylor would walk into a CIO, chief investment officer of an independent, Will Wealth Management out of where,
Uh-huh.
right? And I wouldn't try to hard sell them or whatnot, but just say, hey, these are some unique investments that we offer, and love to teach you about that and see if I can get a slice of the pie. And sales was not my thing. I mean, I kind of failed out of a public speaking class in high school, and my knees would buckle and everything like that. But it taught me a lot. I mean, it taught me a lot about just being honest with people, being able to communicate when it's difficult to communicate, and just be, at the end of the day, just people want to be is just be as honest as possible, and see if you have something that can help them be successful with that.
Yes, absolutely. So you did that for 6 years. You came back in. How many of your family are part of the business now? How many family members?
Yeah, so my dad is chairman, so he's not involved in the daily operations anymore. I have two brothers that are in the business. One that actually just celebrated 10 years last year. My younger brother, he got in a little before me, and he helps run our catering division right now, our shipping division. As I mentioned, we ship nationwide, and then also the production facility. So we've always kind of separated there, and then we have our third brother. His name's Connor. He joined 2 years ago, and he is helping on the production facility, but he's more kind of our finance guy that we're getting up to speed and taking the advantage of teaching him operations right now.
Okay, good deal. Good
Yeah.
deal. And you have 6 locations there in and around
Yeah.
Kansas?
Yeah. 6 locations, pretty high volume. I mean, each location's about 90 to 120 employees. So,
Mm.
we're open all days but two. We're closed on Thanksgiving and Christmas, and every other year we'll close for the day to do an employee celebration. And yeah, 6 locations in Kansas City right now.
Do you own all those pieces of property?
We do not own all pieces. We have about half of them. So one of them, like in the plaza, we rented, and then we're just owned by the family. So, the assets that we don't take distributions, to the family. So the assets that we've sold there have been really to get capital to reinvest in the business, right? In order to open other locations or anything like that. But yeah, but we still do have some properties in Kansas City. Yes.
So you have obviously a long track record of success there and a great reputation, but you're also in a city that is like highly competitive and world renowned for barbecue.
Yeah.
What is unique about what y'all are doing?
Yeah. And a lot of that was started, my great grandpa started it. A lot of what he did was really classic Kansas City. So hickory meat, slow cooked, and his menu was incredibly simple at the time. And it was under 10 items on there, and they just rinse and repeat. And when Jack, my grandpa, got to about 32 years old, his dad was essentially done growing and taking risk, for lack of a better word, right? I mean, you can always get to those stages where you're trying to put some chips off the table, right? He worked his butt off for many, many years and was finally having some stability and didn't want to lose it all, right? It's a real thing that happens to all of us in some way, right? But when Jack was 32, he branched out and started his own smokestack that eventually became Jack Stack when we had to open a second location. And what he did was, he was he was, and Jack's still alive with us. He's 83 right now. I talk to him 5-6 times a week. He called yesterday at 7 o'clock in the morning to give me feedback on the menu thing. It's kind of funny how passionate he still is about all that stuff. But he branched out at 32 to really start his own. He had a lot of gas in the tank, right? So he was ready to go. He was ready to evolve this thing, and he would work almost every week of the year besides 2 weeks. And then what he would do, he was married at 18, had both my mom and my uncle. By the time they were 20, they would just go to Europe for 2 weeks, and they would just travel, right? And they would just open their eyes to see what else is out there in the world. Part of that is to get rid of the part of that's just to get rid of the hustle and bustle and to get out of there. The other was to kind of open their mind. And so what happened was they really just got inspired by a lot of just kind of different cooking over Hickory. So they brought a lot of seafood at the time. And then they brought unique cuts of meat like lamb ribs and beef short ribs. And then, they were doing hand breaded appetizers. And so, by the time you got to really the late 70s, early 80s, it's really a full service experience here. I mean, you can come to downtown Freight House and you can have a glass of Camus with a beef short rib, or you can have a small beef brisket sandwich, right? But what Jack Stack and how it is in such a competitive environment is different. It is a top notch experience, right? Like, we're looking to blow your socks away, and we're looking for you to sit back, relax, and hopefully, not stick your elbows to the table, so to say. So it's a relaxed environment. It's upscale to a degree, but we really want to. What you see when Jack Stack's beautifully executing is you see Louis Vuittons by blue collar workers that are there, getting a meal all at the same time, right? So it's incredibly diverse. And our menu, what I'd say is our menu speaks to the diversity and the side items of what we do.
When it's beautifully executing, I love that phrase or that term, because every day you have to wake up and start again and try to execute beautifully. And there's a lot of challenges that pop up along the way every day. And it's one of the great things about the restaurant industry is I have a lot of respect for you, your family, your peers in the industry. Taylor, when I started this podcast 15 years ago, I thought that I would go to speak to a bunch of successful restaurant owners and learn all the tricks of the trade. And I literally wanted to own a restaurant one day, and I was going to call it Ribs and Whiskey. I don't really drink anymore, but at the time I really liked whiskey, and I've always loved barbecue, ribs, all that kind of stuff. And I was like, that would be a cool. And then it wasn't that long before I thought, you got to have something. You got to be wired for this. I'm not wired for this. Because if you're not wired for this, and you have to love it, because it is a tough industry, and to beautifully execute is no easy task. There's so many moving parts all the time. But to
that point, Will, when we were growing up, my dad used to say, he's like, I don't care if anyone takes every single recipe out of our restaurant, like they're not going to be able to do it like we do it. Right. And so you can take it all, but they have to open up every Sunday anyway. And it's really hard. So it's okay. It's okay. It's going to be okay. We'll be okay. They'll be okay. Even if they want things or they steal things it's all good. Right. Like, you have to open up every Sunday. It's a lot to do all that stuff. Right.
Execution is it. That is exactly right. That is a very healthy perspective. I learned that years ago. I remember, I used to work in banking. When I first got out of college, and there was the guy who ran Wells Fargo Bank at the time said, I could leave our strategic playbook in my seat on the plane, and if I did, I wouldn't even worry at all even if our biggest competitor got it, because it's all about execution. That is. And so let's talk about execution, because, and how, what's changed with that. I mean, one of the things I think about nowadays is, the next generation of employees or teammates, and, you love this business, your family loves this business, you lead by example, I'm quite sure. Talk about finding people that want to follow that lead and want to be on that team. And by the way, a huge hat tip to y'all for having your family members have to earn their stripes, which is great. But talk about finding other people that want to be a part of that, your story and your journey, and help you execute every day.
Yeah. Yeah. With employees, um, a lot of things have changed, but a lot of things have stayed the same in the regards that people want to work an environment that ultimately they respect as a person. They view them as a person, right? Not just as a cog in the wheel, and they want somewhere that is going to push them to be their best, right? There's not a lot of places that you can go to really get challenged, right? And to get the best of, if you were joining our business, like, I want the best of you, right? I'm going to
Yeah.
work you. And like, we're going to get the best Will that we can get. Right. And so, we do that a couple different ways. And one of the main things we do this, and this has evolved through the years and continue to evolve, but is through kind of through our values. So we call it like our why. What we do is called, hope through hospitality. So you see a little hope thing for those.
Hope through hospitality.
Yeah. So hope also stands for the values that we try to live by and hire by. So, hire, fire, kind of our code of conduct, right? So if our remarkable bucket is, hey, we're going to get the most out of you and we're going to push you to excellent, the hope is like, this is how we're going to treat each other, right? And if you want to do this, you can do this. If not, it's probably not the right place for you. There's tons of other restaurants. You can go somewhere else and be successful too, right? And hope also stands for the values that we live by. So the H is humility. Humility is the number one important, right? If you want to take down what I tell, people in the interview process, or, our leaders, if you want to take down JackStack, what you do is you start promoting a lot of people that don't have humility. That's how you take down the business that's been around for 68 years. And so what we're looking for in terms of that is people that are there not only for their own selfish purposes, but are there to help people at the end of the day, right? We're in the service industry. Like you said, we're all a little crazy. We decide to wake up every day and to serve people, right? And so it all comes back to that is that, hey, we're here to help others be successful. And so that's why humility is important for us. It's very easy to spot some of it. It's more difficult. There's layers to all this thing, right? But there's a lot of depth in there, and it leads to a lot of rich conversation. So humility, optimism is the O. And optimism is not what we call rainbows and sunshine. Like, optimism is tell me the brutal fact. Let's solve the brutal fact, and it's going to be okay. We're going to get through this, right? So if we get rolled in carry out and we're busy, and it's in the team knows that they were not set up for success. They know they didn't execute at a high level, and then the leader comes after that and says, "Hey, great job, guys! Like, that was awesome, great night." And like, our team's smart enough. Everyone's smart enough to know that, right? And so what optimism for us is like, hey, can you have enough faith and hope that that it can get better, but call out when it's not good and work with the team and say, hey, let's all get together. Let's do this. And, I know that was a little rough. We know that was a little rough. What can we do better? And then if you want to lean on the humility virtue at the same time, like, what can we do as a leadership team to set you up better? Right. And that's optimism. P is passion, and how we talk about that is, it doesn't really matter. A lot of people in the industry, as you're on the technology side. There's people that are passionate about training. There's people that are passionate about, the food quality. There's people that are passionate about the presentation. Like, it doesn't really matter what the passion is. You have to have a passion to be able to improve, right? Just kind of showing up and collecting paychecks is okay, but this job's too hard with what we do to make it, last.
Yeah.
Right. And then
Totally.
the ease engagement. So engagement's really important. Like, it's not just do you know what's going on, but are you setting up the people to the right and left so they know what's going on, right? And we can all this execution, this seamless execution that, we're all striving for, like, we're just helping each other along the journey there to help sure they're set up for success. And so a lot of, like, when we interview, and going back to your question is, we're really just looking to see if the employees that we're bringing into our business have these characteristics, and then they can actually kind of set them free, that they can grow from that. And then we as an organization and leadership and everything like that just have to live to that and make sure that we're identifying where there's, where there's gaps, and have that communication along the way, where that's call outs and shout outs and saying, hey, like, that's exactly what I'm talking about with engagement. Thank you for letting them know, we're local on this, to, the difficult conversations that we have with humility, where, hey, it's not all about what you want to accomplish here. It's about how well your team is being able to grow, and their lack of direction is unfortunately now on you. And it's an opportunity that we have to help you, grow in this humility trait.
Well, you used the word blessed multiple times early on, which is exactly what I was thinking. This dude's got a lot of humility, because I know y'all have had a lot of success, but that's such an important characteristic in the service world. And it seems like, I mean, I've interviewed, or I don't interview, sorry, I've hosted, over 600 people, and had a lot of other conversations that weren't on this podcast over the years. That's a very, very, very common thread across people that have been successful in this industry for a long period of time. I mean, that have endured, have grown, have gone through COVID, have gone through economic cycles up and down. Humility is a big piece of that, for sure. All of your HOPE acronym are. What of those? I think a little bit about engagement. I wonder if it's harder now with a younger generation coming up that's grown up on screens, that have not grown up maybe as engaged with other people, because they've spent so much time on screen. I think of my kids that are, 21, 18, 16. That engagement, and when I think of like in being engaged with my teammates, or being engaged with the customers or the guests, and being present, being aware, I think that's a challenge for this generation, and I think we're starting to all realize that. I wonder if you see that as well.
Well, I've been kind of reflecting on this the last couple of years, and I mean, there's a lot of challenges with that. There's a lot of challenges with just how much information is coming through, whether that's, on screens or KPIs that we're looking at, right? It's a lot. It's a lot for me. It's a lot. If I know it's a lot for me, it's a lot for the team, right? And so I think that's one piece of it, is just how much information, and how are you valuing the information. But in terms of the younger generation, like, what's beautiful about the restaurant industry is, when there's guests there is no screens, right? You're around people. When you show up to a restaurant, you show up, and you can't do it all on your own. Like, you can't go to the kitchen, and then you can't serve the guests. So it's kind of crazy, where like, you show up, and now there's 20 strangers that are all like kind of becoming friends, and you have to say, hey, can you help grab that for me? Hey, can we wipe that? Can we make that a little better? Can we do that? And so I think a lot of it, like what we've communicated to the team, like a lot of it is the antidote for a lot of the stress that's been going on in the life, because like, without being, and we've seen it from teams, and, we all struggle with it, I think, in some degree, but, not communicating to people, being on devices and all that stuff is really the opposite of what it's like to execute every single day. And I think a lot of the, whether you call it mental health or whatnot, there's stress from the day, like, no doubt in that, in terms of execution or whatnot. But there's gratification, there's just a lot, you feel alive when you have to lean on other people, or you can help other people throughout the day. Not only that, but kind of getting back to what I said earlier, but you're serving people at the end of the day. So then you're making sure that their experience is good. You're making sure that, like, hey, I'm here to help you. And I think a lot of that really helps the anxiousness go down in people's day. I know when I was in the stores, running the stores, day to day, when I was stressed, I just want to get back in the store half the time, right? To just kind of ease it back in there and just start helping people on that. Yeah. I think it's kind of becoming more difficult to step away from some of that and then to unwind and to not think about all of it is, that's kind of a challenge, I think we're all facing a little bit.
I think so. And I love your perspective on this. I truly feel like everybody, it's funny because y'all have to go work somewhere else before you can work in the business. I think most people that don't grow up in the restaurant business and have that situation should work in the restaurant business
Yeah.
before they do something else because I really do believe that. And I've had my first two kids have done that. And my 16-year-old will. It is all the things you said. It is a place to learn to work with people from all walks of life. It is the
Yeah.
most diverse industry of employees anywhere. Um, it is a place where you learn to navigate constant challenges that anything can happen any day. The fridge just went out. I mean, there's a thousand things that could happen. And having the optimistic approach that you said, which is, it's not like, oh, it's cool, no worries. It's like, okay, this is a challenge. We're going to get through it. But learning that value is really helpful. Learning to be present and intentional with a lot of different people, from your teammates to your customers, in a fast-paced environment is very helpful. So these are all tradable skills, right? Like what you learn in a restaurant,
Yeah.
it's almost like if you can do really well there and handle those days,
Yeah.
then most other things you do are probably going to be, not as challenging. And you're going to learn to communicate. Like you said, you weren't a salesperson and, had a hard time public speaking, but the more, and which which is why I want my kids doing this, because when you're forced to engage with other people and not a screen all throughout your day, you do get more comfortable doing that. You learn to do that. And I think this generation, it's a very healthy thing for them. And I do love the idea that when you're there and you can't have a screen, you do. We're wired to be around people. I mean, hospitality's been here forever. Restaurants have been here forever. They'll be here forever. And they're like the last beacon of hope of like having a place you can go and even most people these days, there's exceptions, but most people when they're at a restaurant with their family or with their friends are not on their screens. They're actually talking, and we need
Yeah.
that. We we
Yeah.
we need it more than we sometimes know. And I think even this generation is starting to realize that, because it's the value of having that access to all that information can be positive in some ways, but it's also just completely overwhelming. And there is a reason that so many of them are dealing with anxiety and stress and depression and mental health issues. And
Yeah.
so,
Yeah, I'm more optimistic on the future generation. Like I think there's I think it is, um what worries me a little is as some of the concepts are evolving in technology, there is less staff, more kiosk. You're seeing some of that stuff where it's just like one, and like that's okay, but that can be lonely, right? Like I don't I don't want to be by myself all day. And so, that would be the just in terms of caring for people, the scary side of where technology can go, right? But in a restaurant, there's just so much beauty with that we've seen the younger generation just want that, right? They want to be part of that and they want to work hard and get paid well and do all those things. So if you can create that environment, I think it makes a lot of our employees' conversations or willingness to have conversations easier outside of work, having to deal with all of them inside of work,
yes,
right? I mean,
absolutely.
it helps my life a lot when, you're walking around saying, hey, can you flip your hat around? Can you wipe the sauce, do all that stuff? You get home and you're like, it translates pretty well into all that stuff. If you need to speak up and whatnot, it kind of helps bridge that gap a little bit.
Yeah. Well, yeah, the tech piece is, it is great. Like you said, you have all this information now, and there's kiosk, and there's, you know, thing is, if I feel like there's this bifurcation where there's, one end of the spectrum, which is, um, like McDonald's or like full on fast food for all that matters. Like, I just want some food quickly at a good price. Right.
Yeah.
And then the other side of this is I want to go somewhere and just check out for a little bit, be taken care of, be around a lot of other people, customers, employees, like that, I mean, that's never going to go away. And the more, it's a tough balance I've got to imagine as an operator, because like there's cost savings and efficiencies with technology, but then like the more you force your guests into that, the less special the experience is for them, because it's this, the welcomeness and the hospitality aspect of the business is always how people make you feel
Yeah.
when you come into your establishment.
Yeah, and I think the key word there is convenience, right? Like, is the technology making the experience more convenient for the guest, or is it now a hurdle, right? Like, can you not call me anymore? Can you still call me, right? And like, these are all the things that we debate and when we're trying to evolve our technology, because in some ways, like, yeah, I like our online ordering. I like using our online ordering sometimes, right? Like, in and I think it's good to have to continue to evolve the online ordering. And I think AI could probably help one day. And we've already kind of started this a little bit, but hey, I have 8 people to feed. I'm looking for some beef burn-ins and ribs and a couple sides. How much should I order? Right? Like, I think there's all these complements to it, but if it starts taking away from the hospitality or hinders the guests, like, and they're getting frustrated because they just can't get across or place a phone call or whatnot, that's where I think you can really see some decline in terms of um, just perception to the guests, because they know. I mean, everyone knows how approachable a company wants to be to the people that are trying to reach it or not.
Do you have industry peers or role models or folks that you interact with and learn from?
I do, yeah, yeah. I'm building that. I think a lot of the years was learning our business. And Um, yeah, I have ones that I would say, and I'm building more, but some are the older generation. So we have like a board of advisors essentially that all, we're successful but still sharp nowadays. Look at the quarterly earnings thing, just update us of what's going on and like and all of that. And um I think across the generations is really important, and I've been blessed to have mentors like that, because some of the things they've just seen so many of these cycles, right? I mean, we're in the one right now with pricing. What do you do with pricing? What do you do with beef right now, right? Beef pricing is through the roof, and we don't need to go on a tangent of that. But um, we had an advisory board send over what Texas Roadhouse's Q3 report. You know, it's all public information, but like, hey, just FYI, look what Texas Roadhouse is saying with all this stuff. And like, those are all things that, just help us, just help us make informed decisions and just get a collective around there, but also just perspective, right? And you have to understand what kind of game you're playing. We're trying to be around for a long period of time. So, I mean, we can take a hit. We don't want to affect the guests on some of these short-term vibrations if we're going to be around for a long period of time, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, we can get into a little bit of a tangent on beef prices. I mean, we have the lowest supply of cattle we've had in I can't remember how many decades right now. So it's certainly going up, and it may not come back down for a while. But the bigger picture, I mean, I'd like to take this opportunity just because Neil, connected us to talk a little bit about Food Service IQ and, your relationship with them and how they're helping you. Because I think that's a great organization.
Yeah, I was introduced to Mike Weedor, who's a member there and partner there. He's actually been with us for I think like 8 years or so. So you got Mike at quite a while ago. It might be 10 years now, and I was introduced to him when I started taking this role about 3 years ago or so of just purchasing in general, right? And purchasing is just such a interesting industry in itself. And I know, food service IQ, and what their mission is to help restaurants with purchasing. But you really have to understand the game that everyone's playing with purchasing, and what kind of game do you want to play. And so I would just say that, what their goal is to help find transparent pricing for people, and to help you lower your food costs at the end of the day, right? There's a lot of different things that food suppliers, and I don't want to talk poorly on them because we have great relationship with them, right? But there's things that you can do to continue to lower your food costs, and to work directly with some people that are big suppliers of you, and try to make strategic decisions that you can just not pass along to the guest at the end of the day, right? But my strategy that we've been, I guess our strategy that we've been working on as a team is really to let it kind of goes back to the honesty thing that I said, so we sit down with our primary and our secondary distributor, and we tell them what we're going to do. We tell them, hey, this is an area that we're going to look at. We need your help. Food Service IQ was also going to be doing their work and stuff like that, but we need all partner together in order to lower Jack Stack's food costs. Because if we can lower Jack Stack's food costs, this is what this means. That means Jack Stack can grow. That means your relationship with us can grow, and that's a good thing for everything. If our food cost is now 2 to 3% higher for a year, that's a lot. And you know what that means? Jack Stack probably can't grow, right? That means we got to buckle up. That doesn't help your account. You're not going to move more cases if our food cost is 3% higher. So it's more of a team effort that they can help with, to just try to lower your food cost, so you can just make sure that your guests are still coming through the door. Cause that's the guest is the toughest thing right now, right? With all there's a lot of restaurants. There's a lot of restaurants that's popped up since 2021. We have 2 restaurants, one that's just down the street right here, and then another one, another part of town, that I think each of them had 7 to 8 restaurants open up just in their area since 2021. And that's each of them. So that's 16 new restaurants in these corners, since you're in Florida, is that right?
I'm in North Carolina.
You're in North Carolina, but you probably have corners like that too, right? Where
Yeah, for sure.
Built out the whole thing. It's kind of what's going on now, right? The commercial real estate comes in and they just pop, 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 pop. And so, there's just a lot of opportunities there, to just get guests. But that's what we've been doing on the purchasing side, is we get together, we look at the plan, we get everyone involved at the table, and we tell them what we're going to look at. And we say, hey, what can you do for us, and how can you partner with us to lower our food costs?
Is there good that comes with those restaurants popping up around there to just get more people to come to that area? And if, like if you're executing, do you look at it that way? But I know it's also challenging because the guests are, they're not going out as much now. It's hard. Prices have gone up and people are,
we're kind of indifferent to it, and we're so used to it now. I think it is good to get guests in certain areas. There's a lot of restaurants that there's just way more traffic coming to these areas, which is, it's a great thing. The other thing I try to play mental math is you try to calculate, how, for lack of a better word, how much business is now in this corner, right? That wasn't in this corner, right? And then you look at your sales and be like, wow, that's really good for the city and really good for that. But there's price and business that they're all doing too, in those corners. But at the end of the day, it's all about execution and long term, if some of those last or not last. But I think what's been different with a lot of them is there's just a lot of different, with all the quick service and now more gas stations are doing food. There's just so many different elements of how you can have lunch now, for example. And so, some of those is, we are differentiated with the experience that you have. And some people just don't want to have that kind of experience for lunch, and we're at peace with that. And so we just got to make sure we're doing the best with what we're offering.
Gotcha. Yeah. If you were thinking about some of the biggest challenges right now, is it managing your labor costs? Is it getting butts in seats? What is the biggest thing that you're focused on?
Yeah, I think the biggest area that we're working through is pricing and getting butts in seats, right? And there's a lot of times where, for example, our beef costs, and to take a step back, beef's a tricky one, right? You're buying this big product that's raw. It
Yeah.
goes down to 60%. And then you trim it and then slice it. And then and then you got this much, you got 40% of it left for sliced beef. And so it's the only thing that just shrinks. You buy it whole and then it just keeps on shrinking on you, right? And and so a lot of what we're trying to focus on is how do we continue to have guests in the door, and how do we continue to have attractive offerings without just pushing the easy button and raising price, right? How do we continue to evolve that without saying, okay, Jack Stack guests, I'm sorry, but it's now 7% up this year because we're taking it and we're just passing along to you, right? Like that's a fight, and it's a decision that you have to make as a company, right? Because it would be easy for us, but I don't know. We're kind of looking long term, and like there's a balance in that, right? Of course, everything kind of goes up, and you got to be able to take some price every now and then and continue to increase your experience. But I think getting that right is for the next 2 to 3 years is a big focus for us. We're seeing a little more dislocation than we have in the past. Usually it was like, whoever's in your corner is all kind of raising the same. Now it's getting a little more dislocated where you go to a bar and grill that's doing, might be a lower tier than what our experience is. And you're just like, wow, like our pricing looks really good for them, right? Like how did it get like this so quickly on some of these restaurants, right? And so you kind of have 3 tiers of restaurants that I look at. It's like you have just what you said, like your McDonald's, your quick stuff that has been increasing, but you're just looking for speed and you're not really looking at the bill. Then you have your like nice restaurants, which I don't know about the ones in North Carolina, but those are kind of all over the place right now. And there's like this range of like, okay, I know it's just going to be a lot, and it's within this range of a lot. And then you have this, group of where I think most of the restaurants is not McDonald's, but it might not be a top tier restaurant where like they're really looking at their total check average, right? And they're saying, okay, is this something that I could do once a month? Is this something that's once a year? Like, and trying to see how that total check average is and how that feels to our guests, and is that value creation there kind of like on top of our minds right now.
Yes. Okay. Have you ever heard of there's a company called Check This Out. Have you ever heard of these folks?
Mm-mm.
If you're interested, I'll get you connected with Nicholas Wicks. He has a text-based service that has a built-in referral program. It's freaking awesome. When you talk about getting butts in seats, like we've had a lot of people that have started using that very successfully, because that does seem to be the common refrain right now. It's like we need more people coming in.
Mm-hmm.
So I can connect with you offline and tell you a little bit more about them if you're interested, unless y'all are already doing that.
We have not explored the full tech. We're starting on that, but we have not done the full kind of rollout on all that.
Okay, cool. I'll get you dialed in with it. Good dude, great product. Restaurant owner solved his own problem, and other restaurants needed it, and then he turned it into a business. And he has a tech background, so cool stuff. So do you have a family yourself, Taylor?
I do, yeah. I've a wife, married for 10 years, and 3 beautiful children. So I have a 6-year-old, a 5-year-old, and a 18-month-old right now.
All right, man. Good for you. So you got a lot going on in both sides of your life. You're a busy dude. You got your hands full. Can you talk a little bit about is there balance? Can you find balance? How do you manage, being a father and also being a hardworking business person in this industry, and, all the hours that come with it?
I think that's, man, it's a tough one. There's kind of the buckets of is the sheer amount of time, and then there's just like the strain that your body and your mind is taking, right? And in terms of one of the things that just personally that I focused on kind of through through the last 5 years, which I recommend, to our team too, is really evaluating time and finding out how much, where your time goes is really important. I've been amazed of how much worthless time that I had, or time that I, need to be more effective with it. And so my kind of rule that started as 5 minutes, but now it's 20 minutes is okay. If I'm going into 2026, how can I find 20 bad minutes and turn it into 20 better minutes a day, right? And how well can that, and what do I have to change in my life to change that? And I told the team to kind of start with 5 minutes, because I think five will make a difference. It has for me. But whether that's, um, for me, it's a lot of, it has become more of a routine. It is, my wife and I, we have time on the couch together where, we get to kind of reflect on the day, talk about everything, and spend 30 minutes that, and a lot of these things that happened in my life came because you're in not a good situation. Right. And so a situation where, hey, it's not healthy or whatnot, like, how do we change things? Right. And one of the changes that we did is, with three kids at, 5:45, 5:50, like, we find ourselves on the couch at at 5:45. We say a little prayer together before we go out for the day, and we try to just calm down before the craziness happens. So I think that's, just finding those routines in whatever your life is, and exploring how you can change those unhealthy minutes has helped a lot. I think the other thing, that I've kind of taken away is, try not to beat yourself up in a day. This was from Greg McCowan book. It was from like, Essentialism, I think. But I think the concept was like, don't beat yourself so much up in one day that you can't execute the next day. Right. So
Mm,
whenever you're kind of at this, and we all know what that is, right? Where we're just,
sure.
and sometimes, like, there's a lot, and sometimes you just got to do it. Right. But yeah, try to be mindful of when you're just like kind of being silly, as I say, and pull it back, or try to create some time that you can continue to do that. Because what I tell the team now is, there's so much, especially there's so much like pain in the world, and there's so much like mental of all the team needs or whatnot. And what we can do when we can offer food, we can do all these things, and we do a lot of these things and help the team. But what's most important is that we are consistent and we show up every single day, right? That means a lot. It means a lot for them to have stable employment. It means a lot for them to have a place that is secure and comfortable, and they can still be pushed. We can still work hard, but, taking care of, yourself and showing up as a GM, like what we say to our GMs, like that's a lot. Like, and you do that, and you do that really well, like that's going to go a long way. I think the other kind of concept that I've been kind of working through my head that I share with the team is, a lot of people think, especially in the restaurant industry, it's like, okay, I'm on this 8-day stretch. I'm on this, just grind right now. Once it gets to, what's today, Thursday? Once it gets to Saturday, or once it gets to Sunday, I'm going to be ready for that, right? But the reality is, like, you can make better decisions today and then tomorrow and all of that. Don't kick it down to Sunday, the day you're going to relax, right? Like, don't just like martyr yourself until Sunday. Like, try to just be aware of everything going on, because yeah, I mean, there's people that are listening to this that run restaurants, and like, it's a lot, and there's a lot that you can just kick down your rest down there. So try to just be, opening my mind to those little pockets has helped the sustainability and running a family and a business and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I love the 5 minutes, starting with five, because it's a manageable chunk, and it's not like you feel in your mind, okay, I can definitely find 5 minutes, but then you start training yourself to, as you said, now you get to 10, and then you get to 20, and,
Yeah.
but it's a good way to start that. Well, yeah, it's uh, you, it's a constant process, right? A
Yeah.
little bit
Yeah.
of improvement every day. Um, and it is a hard balance to strike, particularly just in in today's time, there is a lot going on and kids are busier than ever, and there's so many activities. And so, uh, I want to let you roll. I want to respect your time. I'm wondering if there's anything else that we should talk about that we haven't addressed that you want to talk about.
Hmm. I got 9 minutes on the schedule. What do you want to talk about?
You know, look, I think, well, I mean, personally, I love, as I said earlier, I love generational
Yeah.
businesses. My grandfather started Brawley Seed Company up in Mooresville, North Carolina, with the GI Bill in um, was it 1952, I believe.
Yeah.
And so then my uncle ran it. Now my cousins run it, and hopefully, their kids will, or maybe mine one day. I don't know, but there's something special about, and I mean, this is a business that's literally like they're a garden center. They're in the backyard of Lowe's, which is literally headquartered in Mooresville, North Carolina. And I remember thinking they're going to just crush Brawley. Like they're done. Like, because these big conglomerates come in, but there's something about the passion and love and genuine care of a family owned generational business and you've articulated this so much in so many ways throughout this conversation, Taylor, that those businesses, because they play the long game and because they genuinely do, it's family and it matters a lot. And so they make, you know, not always right decisions, but they make decisions for the long haul, and they correct decisions that are not made for the long haul. And they um, pour a level of love and energy into the business that it's just hard to replicate that anywhere else. So I think it really gives you and your crew there a distinct advantage in that the fifth generation will come along and the sixth generation. You mentioned this about um, Arizona iced tea and their price and what the CEO said. And I think of Yingling. You probably don't have Yingling beer out there, do you?
We do have Yingling. Yeah.
You have
Yeah.
Yingling?
They're trying to
Okay.
sell us the flights right now, but yeah, we got Yingling. Yeah.
Okay, good. So they've made it there. Cause I heard I mean, it was probably like 10 years ago. I heard on this podcast, um, the, the, the fourth generation guy who runs Yingling.
Yeah.
And, it was on the How I Built This podcast.
Yeah.
And Roz, the host, was like, well, do you could sell this business for like billions of dollars, and,
Yeah.
like, why don't you? He's like, well, why would I'm fourth generation family.
Yeah.
I drive 5 minutes to my office every day. I love what I do. I'm passionate about what I do. My kids are getting involved. That's the fifth generation. I'm fine with money. I don't, and by the way, and this was 10 years ago. He's like, we're literally only on the East Coast.
Yeah.
We have so much room to grow. And,
Yeah.
yeah, I found that to be such a healthy and just refreshing perspective that so much in so many stories you hear about this person sold, made all this money, but then what? Like
Yeah.
what's next? Like, why not just, have the right values and
Yeah.
lean into something that, that matters and build a legacy. And I really admire that. Man, I admire your family a lot for that.
Yeah. I think a lot of it has to be with, to reflect and ask yourself that question of like, why do you do this? Why do you put yourself through this, and why do you continue to want to do that? Because with time comes options, right? And there's so many options that we have. And for us, it kind of comes down to the impact that we can make in the family's lives that now is part of us, and the values that we've created are, half of them I would say are from the family that, internally, and half of them are from when you open your doors and you have a restaurant and you bring people part of your team, like they bring values that your family doesn't have, right? And so like what Hope is for us is a combination of that, but we really view it as like we're stewards of the business now. When you get to like the seat that I'm in, like, I mean, the amount of things that have to have gone right for me to be sitting here is it's almost it's almost impossible, you know? And
Right.
so there's there's a level of there's a level of like gratitude with that, but there's also a level of like kind of like sacrifice with that of like, hey, like it's not all about me. It's about kind of stewarding this thing and trying to do the best that we can do. And if it goes to the fifth, that's great. You know, if not, like, you know, we'll do our best that we can, right? And that's what it is at the end of the day is, you know, you just kind of put one foot in front of the other. But if you want to make, you know, if you understand what your why is, and we're pretty clear of that, and we've seen that firsthand, and which is the greatest return that we can have is the impact that we can have in our employees' lives and the people that want to be part of Jack Stack. Like there's nothing greater, you know, at the end of the day to hear that. And yeah, is there stress? Is there, you know, is it a lot? Like, absolutely, absolutely, you know, but, you know, we got one of these lives, we got to pick out what we want to do. And it's, yeah, we're blessed to be able to do it.
I've so thoroughly enjoyed talking to you, man. I
Yeah.
really, really have. And I really appreciate you taking the time. And I know that people listening to this are going to get a ton out of this, which is why we started this podcast to educate and inspire. And you've done a lot of both. So I tip my hat to you, to your family. I'm excited. There's three little Dormans running around that maybe will be the next generation. Who knows? But thank you for taking the time. Thank you for sharing a wonderful story, and congratulations to all generations of your family for what y'all have built. It's a very remarkable business, Taylor. Appreciate it very much.
Yeah. Well, thanks for having me on, Will. It was really nice to meet you as well. And yeah, have a great rest of your day.
For you listeners, I would just say, go on there. Y'all hear me every time now. I'm trying to remember to do this. Go to your Spotify, go to Apple Podcasts, give us a 5-star review. We're a top 5 restaurant owner podcast. We want to keep notching up. So the more reviews we get, the more people, and this is the real reason, the more reviews we have, the more that the algorithms will put this content, if you've enjoyed it, in front of other people, so that they can enjoy it too. So thank you all for listening. Thank you, Taylor. Another episode in the books. More coming soon. We will see you.